Ever since I was a little girl, my dad tells this story of me gathering all the toys and the chairs and literally everything in the backyard and bringing it all together in a big line. And my dad came outside and said, "What are you doing, babe?" And I told him, "I'm having a party." I must have been from New England in a past life, but having parties and bringing people together, and honestly, as a Libra, just themes in general bring me so much joy. So naturally, moving into holding space and events and retreats and now wellness conferences, it's really been a beautiful journey to witness my love of bringing people together, of decorating, of making people feel like they're having a good time. I just feel like bringing the women together for not only my goddess retreat earlier this year, but also the summer solstice that we just celebrated last freaking week has been, it's been a lot, but it's also been extremely rewarding. Hey, we're Britt and Chris Carmichael, and you're listening to the Elevated Life Podcast. Throughout the 16 years we've been together, we've never ceased in our endless quest to better ourselves.
We've studied top experts, philosophers, and gurus. After years of personal self-experimentation and working with thousands of clients, we've found the tools for shifting your beliefs, moving through fears, and developing a positive mindset that aligns with your authenticity, integrity, and soul purpose, regardless of your past.
If you're ready for a breakthrough, then you're in the right place, because we're here to empower you to take control of your life with simple mindset shifts that create radical transformation.
We'll be diving into topics like personal growth, health, philosophy, spirituality, relationships, success, and mindfulness. We don't shy away from the taboo topics like sex, hypnosis, meditation, and exploring altered states of consciousness.
So create some space for yourself and get comfy. It's time to become the badass you were born to be.
You know, I still remember that vision of you that I had years back, seeing you on stage. It was so weird because it was like this sudden flash came into my mind, and I saw you standing up on stage delivering. And what was weird is that at the last solstice, I had that vision because one of the things that I've never told you about that is that there's a bunch of bold lights like right near you. Like the way that the goddess letters lit up at the solstice event was exactly the vision I had of you on stage. Like that picturesque moment was exactly it.
That's so crazy because I remember you saying that as I was getting ready for work in the salon one day, and I was mad. I was like, no, I'm a hairdresser. I'm not doing that. I'm not empowering women and talking on stage and doing all that stuff. And honestly, it's brought me so much joy in how it's evolved. So getting into hosting retreats and bringing women together really started because of my work behind the chair. Working one-on-one with women for the last 15 years, I've learned that a lot of us feel isolated and we feel alone and we feel like we don't really have friends that get us, and we're still looking for our community and our tribe. And I had just had multiple women year after year sit in my chair that were cool as fuck and just be like, I don't really have any friends. Like, wait, you either? Like, what's the deal? Like, what's going on? So working behind the chair and getting to listen to how women think and feel has brought me to understand that we thrive in community and that we don't have to do this alone. So bringing women together really, has been my passion since the jump. But I think, looking back to how did this get started? Someone asked us recently, how did you guys get started in hosting events and retreats? And, I had to take a deep breath and think about it because I've been bringing people together for vision boarding parties and cards and cocktail parties. And I've always, 25th birthday, 70s theme parties, roller skating parties. Like, I've been doing this forever. But what I think really the intentional, mindful shift in bringing people together really started with the goddess gatherings on the full moon.
Yeah, and watching how it all happens, I really think, getting back to what you said, that's so important. I think we discount this a lot. We don't focus on it a lot. It's that aloneness. Like, there's a lot of things that you have to go through life alone. There's a lot of things you have to do for yourself. You always have to make it through on your own. But having other people around you is so huge. And when you think about it, the way we came up as a people, like as an entire people, there was a long time where the men would go off and they would go hunt. And so it's just like one or two of them at a time, because you can't be chit-chatting with your friend. Suddenly the animals aren't going to come up. And so all the women stayed back as a community. So we have developed as a culture because women decided to talk to each other all day long. And so having that we've had for so long get stripped away from us for the last few years, and watching what that's done to women's psyche, and how that isolation leads to, I mean, it's a depression. It's a lack of the life that they have. Because I see people who are just now coming out of that state that they've been in for a good long time, that fear state. And you can tell it's taken such a big toll on their lives, on their mental health, and getting back to hugging somebody again, getting back to sharing who you are. And that's really what the beauty of retreats are, and the beauty of getting people together. It's you watch people start to be themselves again, because they're out of that normal role that everybody always plays. You know, they're so used to playing daughter or mother or employee or boss or whatever it is, that we're so stuck in these roles all the time that we even forget who we actually are. And so at the retreats, because it's a long space, or at least in these one-day events, you get the whole day to do it. You get the whole day to be you. You don't come with your extra baggage. You don't have any kiddos there. The partner's not there with you. None of the stuff, none of the business, nothing. It's just you pouring into you and allowing other people to do the exact same. So what you end up seeing is that so many people are able to lift their spirits up. And so when they go back into their regular life, they can take so much of that with them. I have found out for myself that being a participant at events and now hosting events is so nurturing and so loving. For years, I didn't do this. I made the mistake of missing out on this.
You literally have lone wolf tattooed on your shin.
I do, and I've spent a lot of my life being that way. But the truth of the matter is, there's so many things you have to be getting out and doing, and events is one of them. Connecting with people who are interested in the same things you're interested in, or in the same part of your life, or even a little bit past where you're at, so you can learn from them, is so healing. It's so nurturing. It literally just like pulls off the blinders. And then when there's holes in what you're thinking about life and there's not enough clarity, being around other people that you can, give ideas to, and they can, reciprocate back and forth, you learn so much in such a short period of time, because it's just concentrated goodness.
Our environment is so conducive to our growth, because if you think about it, the fish grow to the size of the tank that you put it in, right? So these events, retreats, these intimate spaces where you can come together with like-minded people, and also people with completely different perspective, but maybe like-hearted or like-intentional. And it gives you room to explore who you authentically are, to take the masks off, and to see that reflection of that power, that grace, that beauty, the goddessness, like all the things that you see within the community are really truly a reflection of you that you might not be getting in your normal environment. And what I see happen time and time again is women come into these sacred spaces that we create, whether it's at Goddess Retreat or even the couples retreat for couples to do this together, and even at the Solstice, which was interesting because it was a different kind of version than the deep inner healing work that we do at our Goddess Retreat. So I realized pretty quickly, like, oh, maybe we shouldn't go like full-blown inner child healing today. Like, let's just skim the surface and just kind of like crack people open to let the light in. And what I have found time and time again is that when we come together, like Chris said, find that environment, find that event, find that type of experience that you can surround yourself with to remind you of who you are and to show you possibility of who you can step into and different qualities that you can embody. But what I find is when women go home, when they get back into their work environment and nothing else changes, it honestly becomes a little bit harder for you to hold and maintain that level of authentic vibration that you get when you're in these groups. So it takes practice and it takes time for you to develop that strength and to build that new foundation. So it's not just a one and done type of like, well, let me just show up to this one yoga class. It's really about consistency within that community. Obviously, if you outgrow them, like carry on, but don't isolate. It's so important for you, yes, to seek that community, but not distance yourself so that you can have that constant support.
Yeah, so there's a few type of events that I think are really important that everybody should be incorporating in their daily lives. And I think I figured this out maybe in 2015, 2014, where we started going to marketing conferences, which marketing conferences, just the sound of it sounds super boring. But I'll tell you what, we've met some of the coolest people there, people who we've been friends with, people we've driven hours and hours to go see and hang out with. And so it's really important to get one type of event, something around your business, something that's going to make your business grow. I think it's really important that us, especially if you're an entrepreneur, even if you are saying, hey, I want to break out of the corporate world a little bit, Start learning early. I mean, the earlier you can learn, the better. I love having more of a map when I go into the forest, right? Have the map beforehand. The second thing that you want to do is start doing things where you're having fun. Start doing things where people, that's where I think a lot of times the Solstice event ended up being something that not only was wellness based, so something nourishing to the body, which is number 3. Do something that really for you. Do something that really fills your cup, not nourishing, but was fun too. We were able to combine kind of all that in together. You know, there was a good business aspect. There are so many people who network with their businesses because a lot of people poured their soul into that. And then you also got the fun aspect. But I saw so many people laugh and smile, and you running around with that bubble gun. I mean, it was crazy. And you can have so much fun like that and kind of be kid-like again, while still say, hey, I am an entrepreneur. Hey, I do have these offerings that I have here. And combining all those together and then nourishing the body so much, nourishing the spirit, just being together, listening to people sing, listening to the sound bowls. So beautiful.
I know, it's true. You have to find an event that pours into your passion. Like, what are you curious about? For me, the full moon was what I was curious about. And I really got into sound bowls and doing rituals like what I now call burning the bullshit, where we write down all the things that we want to let go of. And over 5 years ago, I decided I was going to gather all my cool clients that I knew that felt alone and wanted to connect with a sisterhood. And I brought them together on a full moon. And actually for, I think about 2 years, I did every new moon and every full moon. And that was, hey, y'all, that's every 2 weeks. It was so much. But when I look back at it, I'm so grateful for the amount of practice to do it so often, every 2 weeks, turning around, opening up space, holding that sacred space for people to heal. It taught me so much, not just in running events, for one, because that's what was happening, but also holding space for women to come together and heal. And what I didn't know when I first started, I thought we were just going to come together and have fun. But what started happening is women's physical pains were disappearing. Warts on their hands were disappearing. They were leaving toxic jobs and partners, and they were manifesting more money and their house, and like buying a house, and just so many things started happening because of the intentions that we were setting or the space that we were creating when we were letting things go. So for me, it was about creating a community that had a passion for using their own natural power, the rhythms of nature, and a little bit of woo-woo sparkle magic in there that brought the community, which is now Shine Tribe Sisterhood, together. So if you're a hiking enthusiast, you like birds, or you're into yoga, or you love sound, like whatever your passion is, like find a local community, or like I did, created Shine Tribe Sisterhood online. It was like kind of a combo, in person and online. Find that community that speaks to your passion, because that will nurture your soul. That will bring you a new network and community that you can, if you're in business, you can share like your service offerings, because I guarantee they're an aligned type of potential client.
Yeah, it's amazing. And, you know, I was thinking back, because you mentioned about how did it actually start? And I go back, do you remember when we had that talk where it was just our family?
The International Day of Peace.
We literally asked our family to come to our apartment, whatever that room's called. Community room. Yeah, just a small little room. And we just invited family and friends, and Britt and I just talked. And it was something
like 2013, 2014.
And it was something we were already doing at home. We were having these really long conversations in the morning that got really deep. It wasn't just like, hey, what's the deal for today? You know,
it's how the elevated life was born.
Yeah, what are we having for lunch? It just got real philosophical. I ended up waking up early and doing like an hour and a half of yoga every day for a really long time. I spent like years doing that way. And when you breathe like that for so long, and you're watching the sun come up, you start connecting like that, your thoughts are just a little bit different. I mean, they're different than your normal. I wake up and use my phone.
Already different.
Already different. And so we start having these, because Britt would wake up and I'm like, oh, I have things to talk to you about. I have thoughts about the life and the universe and how things work, and, you know, what we should be doing with our health and our business. I mean, everything. And so we got in these deep conversations. It was like, hey, do you think anyone else would like to hear any of this kind of stuff? So we invited people to get together. And then, of course, in Britt fashion, she's off to the races. I mean, she's always like, well, how can I do my next event? And what can I do here? So the important thing is, if you have something that speaks to you, if you have something that's interesting to you, or something that you think other people can benefit from, host your own event. If there's not an event around you, do yours. I bring it out. Britt said, I can't find anything around us where it's exactly what I want to go do.
It's the same with the salon.
It's the same. And every single portion of that, Britt is like, well, I'm going to have to design it. It's not my vision. There's things that are, you know, semi like it, but I want something that's going to be like this. I really want to nurture women for only women and things like that. And so she had to make it. So if you're in a place where you're like, well, that's not in my area, or I don't have that, perfect. This is your opportunity to go actually make it. And when you're the host of stuff, when you're the facilitator, people treat you different. So you're walking into a space with a different level of leadership. So it's good for you to carry that passion and let the other people feel your passion too. If you're someone who's really driven, really excited about stuff, it's definitely an excuse to get off the seat and like really start doing something.
And what about the people that are sitting on that fence and they feel like, well, who am I to do this? Or I'm not worthy of doing this.
Stop it. It's not about you. When you host events like this, 0% of it is about you. 100% of it is about the person who's there. Just like in business, your business is about your customer. Your likes, your dislikes, all those kind of things, that's decoration. What matters is what they want, what they're willing to pay for, what they're excited about, those kinds of things. What will drive them, what will give them the improvement that they're looking for, all those things matter. And so if you're focused on, well, who am I? Who cares? If your car broke down and some person in the ugliest outfit, hair looking all kinds of crazy, I mean just gross in every way, is like, hey, I'll help you. You'd go, holy shit, yes you will. Thank you. I'm very glad that you showed up today. Oh, you're not a mechanic? Well, can I see your certifications? There's not going to be any of that. You're just going to be happy that they showed up. So everyone who out there who needs help is the same way. They care about what your message is and not how you perfectly deliver it. None of that stuff matters at all. It matters the passion behind it.
And you'll refine yourself over time. I mean, my first goddess gathering to hosting Summer Soulstice last week is an absolute stark difference. But what's interesting is my vision when I started hosting goddess gatherings has always been to the level and capacity that I was able to execute at Solstice. It just took 5+ years to finally come around to having the right team to support that big vision coming together. Because let me tell you, it wasn't just a one-person show. There were so many hands on deck. So shout out to all the team, all the support. I cannot thank you enough for, from the graphic designing to the freaking itinerary planning to reaching out to vendors to the sponsors to literally you, Chris, holding space for just decorating till 1 a.m. back up there at 6 a.m. the next day. Like, it was an insane week, and the amount of support that came together was truly just so beautiful. And one of my intentions behind the Summer Solstice was to shine a light on the local vendors and businesses and services that I love and that have played a huge role in my life and my healing and my joy and all the things, right? And one of the vendors came up to me at the end of Solstice and she said, "Thank you so much for including me in this. I'm able to pay some of my bills because of this experience." And for me, all of that hard work, was instantly worth it because it created that, it fulfilled that intention of bringing people together and creating abundance for all.
This is one of the things that makes me really excited about the entire endeavor. And that is the fact that when you're a small entrepreneur, when you've got a small business where margins matter a lot, where sales matter a lot, where month-to-month business can matter a ton, it's so cool to see people thriving and see people successful, because one of the most beautiful things we can do is shop around with each other, keep our dollars in our little community and to help each other out, because so many people have so many gifts. I mean, there's so many things that they're doing. And when we share like that, life's very different. We start looking at it, we start appreciating people differently. We don't see things as so just consumer driven. When people put their love into what they create, because there are a lot of people who created their own thing. Like if it wasn't for them, that product or service wouldn't exist. Like they're the whole business. And so being able to see them be passionate about their business, see people care. I think so many of us shop at big retail places, or we shop online, and you can't see how that person really cares about what they're doing. And when you're talking face to face with somebody, it's different. You can say, okay, well, they're not really serious. Or you can say, oh my gosh, this person, I have to have all their products, because just how excited they were, it thrilled me inside. And so hearing people succeed like that, that's what so much things are for, is to watch people have big successes. It's all a setup to watch people succeed.
And these events are environments meant to step outside your comfort zone, because one of the vendors said, I thought I was coming here to sell some cookies, and I came here and I let my abuser go that I didn't think I would ever be able to find peace with, just in the burning the bullshit ritual that we did. So it's incredible what can happen when you step outside your comfort zone. I had one woman come up to me at the beginning, and she said, I almost didn't come. I said, well, I'm so glad you did. I've had multiple people say that at the retreat too. I've invested thousands of dollars and I almost didn't show up, like out of fear. But what I have found for seeing women step outside their comfort zone and invest in themselves and surround themselves with these environments and communities is that they far beyond exceed what they even thought that they were capable of, the level of abundance and worth and value that they can contribute and open up to receive. Like everything expands when you put yourself in a container with other people who are also expanding.
That's what I do love about the retreat too, because, when you're getting together with people and they're strangers, right? I mean, even if you know Britt or you know both of us from online, being in person is just always going to be a different thing. And watching
because
them,
we're way more fun.
True that. But watching people come to the realization that they don't have to protect themselves, they don't have to have that guard up, they can just be them, is so cool to watch. I mean, it's like watching them go, oh man, I can be accepted in a room. I don't have to be something special. I don't have to please these people. I don't have to pretend like I'm something incredible when I have these self-doubts and all this kind of thing. I can just be me. And watching people accept themselves for who they are is the first step for ever changing. And so until you've gotten to the point where you can just be you, change is not possible because you're not starting off from ground zero. You're doing something else. If the foundation's broken, don't work on the windows, right? We got to work on that base layer. And once that base layer is there, it's so much easier to get the rest of the stuff just knocked out. And that's why being in that space for enough days allows people to just, that's what I loved about this group specifically.
I was just asking you mentally, what was your favorite part about this particular retreat?
On that first night, you always ask me the same question. You always ask me what would you do, or what would be your recommendation for people at the retreat now that we've done it a bunch? And that is the fact that the faster you open up, the more beautiful the experience is going to be, because you're going to just let so much stuff in. You're going to let a lot of love in that probably most people have been blocking for a long time. Because a lot of times when we protect ourselves, when we sort of put our hands up in front of our face or in front of our heart, what we end up doing is we block out all of it. And so not just the painful spots, but the spots that are really good. And what people realize is that if this was an experience where they were going to fall, they're going to fall into like this blanket of love instead of just fall on their ass. And I think for a lot of people, they've spent time with others who have allowed them to fall on their ass. And since this is a different experience and this is completely curated so that the person can enjoy that, it's different. It's a whole different way of being, and a different way of thinking, and a different way of existing. And it's a reminder of this is how life is really supposed to be. I'm really supposed to just like who I am and move from that space.
One of the stories that's coming to mind from this year's retreat, and not to mention having to take someone to the hospital this time, which is every retreat host's nightmare, but we handled it with grace and it was a really beautiful experience. But one of the things that's coming to mind is when you were leading us through the inner child meditation, one of the goddesses had this insane breakthrough, and she said, I've been to healing retreats and I thought I had healed, but holy shit, what the hell did you just do? Like, why am I feeling this way? Why do I have to go through this? And it was beautiful to watch her break down to break through that experience that she had tucked away so deeply. And she had, not to air out any of the details, but something very fascinating happened. I had all the women bring a picture of themselves from their younger childhood, something that represented them to add to the altar and to do some of the inner child healing work that we were doing. And one of the women brought a picture of her dog. And during this inner child meditation, she had this insane breakthrough memory that involved that exact dog that she brought a picture with. So what I found fascinating in this particular retreat is that almost every single person's deepest fear and trigger was literally brought to the surface in the most insane kind of way. Not like in a bad, scary way, but in a way that's like, it's time to finally heal this and break the cycle.
That's interesting because, when I do hypnosis, one of the big things that can happen, and it's happened with multiple of my clients, is called spontaneous regression, which means basically that the subconscious mind or the conscious mind relax enough to allow the subconscious to do whatever it wanted. And so in a space just like that, sometimes the biggest things pop up because your brain goes, oh my gosh, this is a space where we're ready. I've been holding on to this stupid ass thing.
It's like holding on to a fart and you finally get in a fucking
blow it out.
room.
Blow the carpet out. Yeah, so I mean, it's that sometimes that can happen. And like I said, it's so beautiful to watch people go through that, because once you let it go, you realize it doesn't control you anymore. And that the only thing that was controlling you was you thinking about it and the way that you were thinking about it. And so when you realize that so much of the prison that we live in is just a bunch of thoughts, you can kind of laugh at yourself and be like, well, what was I doing for so long? Like, what in the hell was going on? And that realization oftentimes is one of the most critical points that ends up happening in your life, because you realize, holy smokes, I've been my own obstacle, and I don't really have to do that much anymore. Maybe I'll just do it 50% less and make my life twice as good.
So one magical thing that happened at this year's Goddess Retreat is that within 10 minutes of us arriving to the mountain villa, my spirit animal, Carl, the fox, ran past the back door, up the mountain. And, you know, it's interesting because it's reminding me of the first time that happened, when we all made the decision that we were going to go up to Colorado for the next Goddess Retreat back in 2021. We were sitting out on the back porch, and I had told all the girls about my spirit animal, because Chris does this incredible hypnosis meditation when we get to the crown chakra portion of the workshop, where he guides you through an experience where you can meet your spirit guide and your spirit animal. Well, doing this years and years ago, I had a fox come through named Carl. And if you've listened for any amount of time, I'm sure you've seen me post about Carl or a pink car. So anywho, in 2021, Carl ran across the mountain. Everyone yells, Britt, come outside. Carl's here. And it was just, I caught it on camera as he's running into the distance. And it just was this magical moment that everyone got to experience. Like, holy smokes. And on the very last night, I was sitting out on the back porch on the very bottom floor, and it was about midnight, and I was sitting out with Goddess Courtney, and we're chatting. She's 25 years old, and she's pouring her heart and soul out, sharing all the things that she had been through and how she was feeling. And, you know, she was probably the biggest skeptic we ever had join the Goddess Retreat. And as we're sitting there and talking about how magic is possible and real, boom, she went silent, which if you've ever met Courtney, you know that doesn't happen. And I look at her face and she looks kind of scared, and I'm like, is there a fucking bear behind me? Like, I pause and turn around, and there's Carl, the fox, just walking not even 3 feet away from us. Our jaws hit the ground and we looked at each other like, holy magic. This was so crazy. The timing of the conversation and just the fact that he was so close and so chill and so calm. You know, it's interesting because that happened in 2021 and it didn't happen again the next year. But this year it did within the first 10 minutes of walking through. And, you know, something that I haven't shared a whole lot about, so this will be the first time I'm really opening up much, is that Goddess Courtney actually passed away. She passed away this year, and it was a huge blow to my soul. I'd never lost a friend before. I never lost a goddess retreater, a hair client. She had just sat in my chair not even a month ago. So it is really important for you to surround yourself with community that you feel like you have support from, because you never know what people are going through, even if they seem happy and even if they seem like they've got it all together. I think it's so important for you to pay attention to the people that are in your community. Reach out to the ones that you love, especially the ones that you know need a little bit of extra love.
So today, after you listen to this, reach out to somebody that you know. Just anybody that's been across your mind. Maybe it's someone you haven't talked to in a long time. Maybe it's somebody you've been too stubborn to talk to in a long time.
Are you looking at me?
No, I just maybe maybe that's the person you reach out to. Maybe you haven't heard from them because they've been going through something. Maybe just say, hey, I'm just thinking about you. And it can be that simple. A lot of times we don't realize that how simple it can be of just reminding somebody that they're in our thoughts, that we hope they're having a great day, that they're having a great week, so on and so forth. It's so easy to make people's day if you'll just intentionally do it.
I think it's so important. As we talked about earlier, bringing community together really is like salve for the soul. And when you lose a sister, it hits differently. And I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but you know, it was certainly a first for me, and I've taken time to heal and rest and grieve. And it was a very interesting, stark difference from summer solstice high to the following next day feeling that kind of low.
And I think that's why it's one of the most important things to do, because we've had other retreaters who have lost people, very close people in their lives. They've lost them. And it's so important to have those people around you that can help you through that it will allow you to grieve in whatever way you need, allow you the space whenever you need that, and to be around a support system as you're deciding it's time for me to move through this. It's time for me to come to terms with this and see what the future is going to look like for me, so that I don't have to always carry my burdens around, so that I can deal with them, I can understand them, I can appreciate them for what they are, but at the same time I can also move on, or I can also move forward with my life in the way that is best fit for me.
Oh gosh, it just, of course, after you lose someone, you scroll through all the photos and all the memories and all the things, and one of the most beautiful things that I found in my searching, if you will, was Courtney's testimonial from the Goddess Retreat. She said, I was drugged here by a friend. I was the most skeptic. I literally stress test everything. And she had her guard up in the beginning of the video. And then I said, what was Brittany's teaching style like? And, what did you learn from that? And that's when the walls just let go. And she said, I've been able to put so much to rest and at peace here. And watching it back hits so different than, just in the moment right after that experience. It was just a beautiful reminder that we are all holding space for each other to heal and to grow, and you never know what your love might do for another.
That's really important too, is because a lot of times the thing that you get out of a retreat, or the thing that you get out of an event, or you showing up somewhere that just seems kind of random, is because there's a person there who needs what you have to give. And you didn't know you were showing up for that. I just remember a recent class that you and I went to, and we were actually, because I was thinking, what are we doing here? And then it was
spoon bending.
And then about halfway through the class, I was like, yep, that's exactly why we're here. That's 100% the interaction that was going to happen, and we're definitely here for a reason.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't to bend the spoons, which we fucking did, and it was incredible. But there was a woman that just did not believe that it was possible for her, and my freaking psychic ability, she was sitting right next to me. I couldn't help it. I could feel the story she was telling herself is, I'm weak. And it was a story that was given to her by a male person that she loved, and she had identified that as her truth, and her belief says, I can't do it. I'm too weak. And we sat there and held the most beautiful space for that woman, and she was able then to bend the spoon. But what it took was people not giving up on her, people believing in her, cheering her on. She said, I don't want to be the center of attention. And that's usually what it's like the thing you're doing that's making you the center of attention is like what you don't want to be, like it's a funny paradox, but we were able to just give her love and non-judgment and hold that space for her. Our belief wasn't, well, she's not going to be able to do it. Our belief was she's absolutely going to be able to do it. And we're going to hold that tone so that she can reach that level of belief and mastery in herself. And that's exactly what coming to Goddess Retreat, events, whatever, like the things, I can't say that all events in the world have that level of transformation and depth, but I know, for at least speaking for our experience, like the events that we're creating is holding that non-judgmental, loving type of space, because that's when you truly heal and you truly find yourself.
And it's super cool to see, and especially from a guy's perspective, it's really amazing. Well, besides getting insight on tons of women and stuff like that, it's great when we have the couples experiences, because you get to watch guys finally do something that we hardly ever get the space to do. Sometimes you break down, sometimes you build up, but it's allowing whatever to happen. We're never trying to pushing anybody for transformation or trying to get somebody, walk over the fire coals. There's nothing that we do like that. The whole thing is that if you're ready, we're ready. We're right here. And so are all of us right here with you. We'll hold your hand. We'll pat you on the butt, whatever it is that you need to do. I won't pat you on the butt, Britt will.
I certainly will. So what do you think was the biggest learning lesson from hosting Summer Solstice?
I think it's for one, to remind us how much we all need community. I think that it's a reminder of how much fun it can be just to get around people who care about the same stuff you care about, or who are interested in the same kind of things. Just that energy alone, 100%. The other thing that it reminds me of is we often forget when we have really big things in our lives, how much it takes to recover from those things.
Oof.
There is a level of recovery, whether you are an attendee or whether you are a person who's hosting. Both of those need a certain level of recovery the next day. We had multiple people tell us they took the next day off of work.
I know, that's like good pro self-care planning.
Who said like, hey, this is going to be it for me. Also at the retreat is almost the exact same thing. It was amazing to see people come together as a community. It's amazing to see people within a few short days become lifelong friends. Mm-hmm. People who check up on each other, people who are interested in what their lives are doing and everything. But the other spot is the integration part afterwards, and again, the recovery. Because the hardest part of everything is bringing energy with you. We can all go out and find good energy, and good energy exists pretty much everywhere. The mastery part comes in when can you integrate part of that good energy into your life so that you continue feeling good afterward, not just come back as the same person, not just come back into the same situation. It's about coming and integrating what you learned so that you improve on some portion of your life. Like that's always kind of the goal at an event, whether you're just having fun, whether it's about your hobby, whether it's something in your business. It's always about how can I bring this back into my life, and then how can I make my life just a little bit more enjoyable for myself. Maybe make me a little more gracious, maybe make my attitude a little bit better, a little more positive thinking, or maybe I'm considering my self-care a little more. So it's always watching people and learning how people integrate and learning how people are able to catch the same kind of actions that you hear about and put them into a routine that they can carry on with their day with.
I think one of the, hindsight most important things that I experienced as someone who was, hosting this retreat is that I had this wild and crazy idea 99 days before the actual event was like set to go live. I just on a whim, a coffee with Brittany, who's on my team, because who doesn't want a team full of Brittany's? And we were chatting and I'm like, oh, we should do like an event on the summer solstice. That would be so fun. It also happens to be Brittany's birthday. So it was just like, let's just do this big extravaganza and bring women together, and let's find the balance between my goddess retreat and my goddess gatherings. Let's find like this wellness happy medium. And this idea literally was brought to and manifested to full fruition within 99 days. My first advice is give yourself a little bit more time and maybe don't plan it during the middle of the week. That was a big lesson. But what for me was the biggest takeaway is that I had 99 days to plan, and about 1 month out from the event, I think we had 2 people who had signed up. One of them being my very best friend, and the other one, someone I didn't even know. And I was asked the question by multiple people, including Chris and my team, like, are we going to punt or are we going to pull through? And I just looked at everyone. Anytime someone asks me that question, I have full faith that if I was chosen to bring this event together for the community, then it is meant to happen. And I tell you what, I absolutely chose faith over fear, even though everyone will tell you it looked bleak. The numbers were absolutely like flaming red and terrifying. And then at the very last minute, everything turned around where we actually ended up having to turn away vendors because we had too many of that type, or just too many in general. We ended up barely even having enough space for the ones that did sign up. So it's interesting how there's so many times when you're going after a big dream that you feel uncertain, or it feels scary, or there's no proof that it's going to happen or that it will be successful. But if you have a passion in your heart and a vision, I think that giving yourself permission to just keep moving forward and trust. I know that it's not easy to surrender to the process, but what I can tell you in hosting this one-day wellness event, that I wasn't sure if it would be an annual, like, recurring thing, but we have already had people from out of state signing up for our wait list. So it's, I guess we're on board for Summer Soulstice 2024.
Okay, so if they want to sign up, where to go? I think
it's BrittanyCarmichael.com/2024. But if it's not, just send me a DM and I'll send it to you. It's also my Instagram bio links, just like if you really want to get there. So I wasn't sure that we would do it, but after it was over and I had the vendors come up and say, I'm able to pay bills, I was able to let go of my abuser. I didn't even know how much I needed this. I've been holding healing seminars for 30 years and this was so helpful for me. Like, I can't tell you the amount of feedback that came from not just the attendees, but also the vendors, because I wanted to create a space where everyone was included, because I don't know about you, but I've been to the boring vendor fairs where they're just hiding in their little booth and it's an awkward, like, should I go over there and talk to you? And what Summer Solstice was a representation of the type of connection and intimacy that we create at my goddess gatherings. And that was including them in the lunches, in the yoga, in the meditations, getting them out of their booth and into the tables with everyone else, mingling, connecting with each other. I can't tell you how many vendors ended up becoming friends and connecting. It was just like the most beautiful, beautiful exchange of energy between all people equally.
Yeah, because it looks like everybody's on the same page. We're all going through the same stuff. We're all kind of out here in the same ocean, but in different boats. And I think coming out to realizing that everybody's out here with you it's a phenomenal way to be, and it's a phenomenal way to experience other people.
And when you sweat in 100-degree weather in Texas, like, you just build some kind of special bond. But in all seriousness, we will be doing something like this next year, as much as I'd like to do something in the fall. And you know me, I may change my mind. We're trying to focus one thing at a time and planning a big move. So we are trying to, we as in me, is trying to limit the amount of commitments and projects and all the things, because I'm like, oh, it'd be so fun to do in the fall. And everyone's like, you're moving in the fall. Please don't do that to us. So as much as I would
Please don't do that to us.
As much as I would love to have another one of those events this year, I think we will be saving it for next year, including our goddess retreat. So if you haven't heard, we are going international next year and headed to Costa Rica. We'll be gone April 28th through May the 4th be with you. And I'm so excited because we're getting back to Mother Nature. I'm tired of my nose bleeding in the cold, snowy mountains of Colorado, and I'm ready to get that salty air ocean vibe on.
Oh, it's going to be so healing, and just to be pampered out there. The views alone, when Britt's showing me this, like, hey, is this going to be a place where we can actually host? Oh my gosh. Like, it's just, there's a certain select people who love going to the mountains, who love seeing the snow and this picturesque view. There's a lot of other people who love being at the beach. And I will tell you that after years of doing this, I may be one of those people who love being at the beach.
I can't tell you how many mermaids reached out and was like, when are you going back to the beach? So here's your answer. We are going back April 2024, Costa Rica, 7 luxurious days on 13 acres where we have our own private jungle and waterfall, and all the food is grown organically on property.
Can they go somewhere to sign up early or waitlist it?
Yep. Actually, there's not even a wait list. You can sign up now to secure your spots. We are already selling spots. All the past retreaters are absolutely on board for going to the beach. So if you want to join us in Costa Rica next year, you can go to brittanycarmichael.com/retreat. And that will get you all the details on how you can join us in Costa.
Is there a payment plan?
Absolutely.
Payment plan, long payment plan.
It's a long payment plan because we're leaving, what is this, 9-10 months? Here we are. So we've got a nice long payment plan for you. And everything is included except for your flight. So I am just so excited to go international, talking about expanding comfort zones, right? This will be our first international retreat.
All right. Before you sign up for the Goddess Retreat, the big thing that I want you to do is go check your passport right now. We are months out. And so if your passport has not been renewed, if you haven't been out of the country in a while, it's a good time for you to check back up on that, because it takes a while. We have been dealing with that. We've got a few other people in our close group that are dealing with that. So make sure you get on any kind of passport travel immediately so that you can join us next year. It's going to be incredible.
Oh, I'm so excited. So I think this has been a great reminder that surrounding yourself with community is absolutely necessary. They say in the study of longevity that the people living to the oldest ages are doing so because of their relationships and connection to community. Not necessarily a plant-based lifestyle or living in a blue zone, but really their ability to connect and feel loved and supported, which, if we're talking chakra work, that is your base root chakra and the first step in building that healthy foundation. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and it's been a great reminder to get yourself out there, to step outside your comfort zone and find your community. And if you're listening, hello, you are already a part of an amazing high vibe tribe. If you'd like to continue this wisdom with us, be sure to sign up for the Elevated Life Club, our monthly membership where you can get group coaching, yoga, and meditation practices from yours truly. And until then, we'll catch you next week.
Peace.
Thanks so much for tuning in to the Elevated Life podcast. If you loved this episode, please share that love by leaving us a 5-star review and spreading the good vibes on social. You can tag us at the Elevated Life Club. Want more wisdom from us? Become an elevator by joining us inside our monthly membership club at theelevatedlifeclub.com to discover mindset upgrades, lifestyle hacks, and spiritual tools to elevate your soul.
Each month features a live group coaching masterclass, guided meditations, yoga practice, and more to help you transform your life one step at a time.
It has all the tools, coaching, and community you need to level up, progress every month, and keep going in every area of your life consistently over the long term.
Join us in the club and start your transformation today by signing up at theelevatedlifeclub.com.